What's up, everybody? I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of this freaking show. It is the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. The same weekly podcast that's brought to you by Freaknet Studios. Guys, go to freaknetstudios.com and check out all the amazing podcasts that are associated with this freaking show. Just for wrestling and the gray area. Us three make up Freaknet Studios, an overall networking, thing that we're trying to do. I don't know what you would call it. I know Sarge calls it a conglomerate, but, I don't know what the fuck that word means, so I don't want to use it. I don't know, Joe, what would you call this? It's just a network, right? It's a network?
Yeah, I just call it a network.
A networking
Maybe
tool.
a confederacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it has to be a different flag, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But
not the confederacy.
Yeah,
just
not
a
the
confederacy.
Confederacy.
Like,
you can't go
yeah.
the Confederacy.
Like we're united, but we don't control each other's shows.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
I like that. I guess in a way we do have a network if you consider our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right? Which, guys, if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you go onto YouTube and search Freaknet Studios and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell and notifications all so you can get a update on whenever we release shows. Cartoon Joe and I have been releasing diet journey vlogs over the past week, pretty much every week for this summer so far. So make sure you check those out. You can listen to our journey through it and how we progress in our lives to make ourselves more healthy and find a better use of our time and longevity of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice way to kind of get some content out there until we can all get back together again and then start shoveling food back into our faces as we rank them and shit in our own point of views.
Right? Well, the trick is to get ourselves thin enough that it doesn't affect us anymore.
Yes. Right. So when we do that taste testing for ice cream.
Yes. God, I love ice cream.
Now let me ask you something, Joe, because we both just did something. Is there, do you feel like a sense of like enjoyment, like just by going, yes?
I do.
Right? It's weird, right? I mean, like you're just saying a word, but you're just like kind of like whispering into like a long kind of phrasing, but just it has a good feeling to it.
It does.
Right?
It feels good in your throat. It feels good in your teeth.
Right?
It's good.
Like, overall, yeah. I think.
Yeah.
One day.
That's a weird way of putting it, probably. But
right. I can feel it in my teeth.
Yeah.
But it works. I mean, it's honest, Joe, and that's what we try to focus on here is honesty. And I can see where you're going like with that. No, because you need that whisper of breath that goes right through the gaps, you know? What's up for me? I'm sure you have perfect teeth, but.
No, I have terrible teeth. They're really bad.
One day down the road, we'll make a show titled Yes. But not today, because we're going to title this show after our guest that we have on. Later on in the episode, we're going to have Brian Lau, the creator of Staunch Ambition, who we had on the show previously, and he actually came out with a new book, Inferno City Firehouse, based on real events of firefighters in Detroit City. So
I can't wait to find out about that, because I don't know anything about it.
Well, yeah, so it's been created since we last had him on, because last time we knew, it was just Staunch Ambition. Now, this is something new, something exciting. If you go to Inferno City Firehouse.weebly.com, there's more information on it. There's actually kind of like a teaser video of it. I love the animations and everything. We'll talk more about that because it's like black and white, but it's almost like shading. Absolutely amazing. I do know it is available on Amazon as well through the website, so we can talk more about that with Brian. But before we do that, we do gotta dive into what freaking happened this week. Yes. God, that's gonna be a thing. That's gonna be a thing now, isn't it? Excellent.
Yeah, it's gonna replace the Star Award. We're gonna do this every episode, and we're never gonna do the Star Award again.
Right. well, I mean, like realistically, how many more people deserve a Star Award nowadays?
I don't know. You know? It's probably it would have to take an extraordinary effort at this point.
We're like one Star Award recipient away from it becoming just another participation award.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And we gotta make sure we stop before we do that because we don't want to bastardize our only award, our namesake award. Which I think technically you created because that's something you said on a daily basis or something like that.
I did say it a lot. I do. I still say it a lot. In my head now, but.
And I think normally that's something you usually say to somebody, like, it's like one of those, it's like that phrase, like, you know, bless your heart. It's kind of like that.
Yes, that's exactly how I use
it. Right? So maybe next season.
Hey, follow your star, I guess.
Maybe next season we'll turn the award into a Bless Your Heart award, you know?
Perfect.
And then we'll get a trophy, but instead of like a heart, like a Valentine's Day heart, I'll just look like a human fucking heart.
Like a regular heart. Yeah.
Like, right? Like with fucking, what the hell are those fucking, tubes that blood go through? With arteries.
Yeah, arteries. I would say veins or
Chambers,
blood vessels, but those are not on the heart because they're smaller. Arteries is the right word. You got it.
Is it just me, or does it feel like this show is not going anywhere?
It does feel like it might not be going anywhere. Maybe it can go into the past.
Right. Let's go to the past. Joe, you wanna travel first, or do you want me to?
Doesn't matter to me. How about you go?
I'll go first. Excellent. All right. July 22nd, 1991. Jeffrey Dahmer is caught.
Wow.
Milwaukee police find human body parts in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Earlier that day, Dahmer offered a man $100 to pose for nude photographs. After entering Dahmer's apartment, Dahmer attempted to handcuff the man and attack him with a knife, saying he planned to eat his heart. Look at that shit.
Wow.
The man managed to escape with one wrist handcuffed and flagged down a police officer. When they went into the apartment to get the handcuff key, they found Polaroid pictures of human bodies in various stages of dismemberment. A further search of the apartment found 4 severed human heads in the kitchen, 2 human hearts, and other body parts in the refrigerator. More body parts in the freezer. Scattered throughout the apartment were 2 complete skeletons and numerous skulls and bones. The following day, he would confess to having murdered 16 young men in Wisconsin since 1987, and another victim killed in Ohio in 1978.
Jesus.
Yeah. I know we talked about possibly looking at serial killers and stuff like that during this freaky show. Which
we still should. I think it'd be fun.
I think we definitely need to. There's actually a lot of stuff that's just been popping up so much about what we could do for October. One of the things we definitely want to talk about serial killers. We got those freaky tale stories that we're creating to do that. We're also I'm not sure if you saw what I shared on our Facebook page to you. Netflix is coming out with a new series about haunted places in America. That is really interesting, but also I found something on Facebook that I kind of saved for us to look at down the line. Actual haunted places in Illinois that actually isn't that far away from us that we could actually maybe do some vlogging and stuff at too, and kind of talk about it on the this freaky show series that occurs during October.
Nice.
So I think I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I don't want to build it up before we figure out exactly what it is. I feel like this freaky show series this year could be our best one yet.
I agree. It's almost like it's ready to become its own spin-off show.
I see it. All right. If we find the right host to do it, I mean, who knows?
Maybe
the Freak Joe and maybe a travesty kind of character would come out. I mean, I know like when I did Dungeons and Dragons, I just called myself Sivart, which was just a backwards spelling of my name. So who knows?
That's fine.
Maybe it could be something down the line. Right?
Yeah.
There's always possibilities for the future. But Joe, what freaking happened this week?
I have a number of things that freaking happened this week that is almost the opposite of what you had. A number of my favorite historical figures were born this week. So, starting on July 19th, which is this Sunday, French Impressionist painter Edgar Degas was born in Paris. His best-known painting is the one of Dancers in Motion. Great Impressionist painter, one of my faves. On the 20th, explorer Edmund Hillary was born in Auckland, New Zealand, and that was in 1919. And in 1953, he became the first to climb Mount Everest. So that's pretty cool. On the 21st in 1898, Ernest Hemingway was born, one of the great writers, great American writers of all time, in Oak Park, Illinois, very close to us. So that's cool. Let me continue to scroll down the page here. On July 24th, French playwright and novelist Alexandre Dumas was born. He's honestly one of my all-time favorite writers. He was the guy who wrote The Count of Monte Cristo and The Three Musketeers. Very cool person. And then, so that was in 1802. And then on the same day in 1898, Amelia Earhart was born. So as you know, his first female pilot to fly across the Atlantic. So,
a lot of historical figures born this week.
Yep.
As well as like trying to search through to find like the right event to talk about. A lot of tragic ones.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
I think that's what made me focus on birthdays.
Right? It's like, oh no, there's so much death and attempted death, and but it's weird, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons I enjoy doing these segments, and I think I mentioned this before. It's, you learn about so many events that you didn't know of, you just didn't know the exact date that it happened, or new events that you probably should have learned about that you never really took in consideration.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's cool. We'll get Brian on here in a minute. Obviously, we're going to plug some podcasts and stuff and all that. But I do want to talk about a couple other unfortunate things, if you would
sure
allow me to, Joe, here for a moment. I just wanted to bring up a couple things that should be mentioned that did happen over the past week. And unfortunately, we actually seen the death of about 3 celebrities in the last week. And I just wanted...
We did, didn't we?
Sorry. Yeah. No, you're fine. You're fine. I just wanted... I felt that we should acknowledge them, as we did with Charlie Daniels a couple weeks ago, which there's no dramatic reading for these people, because they're not really artists. So we have a song, yeah. But Grant Imahara, host of the Mythbusters and the White Rabbit Project, passed away at 49 years old from a brain aneurysm. I believe this was what was it? I want to say last Tuesday, last Monday, whatever the 13th was.
Yeah, Monday then.
Monday.
I'm glad you gave the date, because that's the only reason I knew.
Yeah. Kelly Preston also passed away at the age of 57 to breast cancer. An actress that everyone should know. She unfortunately also passed away last week. And the body of Glee actress Naya Rivera was found after she went missing a couple days earlier than her body was found. I believe her body was found yesterday. Either yesterday or Sunday, and she actually went missing like last Wednesday or something like that. From what the article was saying about her passing away, is her and her 4-year-old son were swimming in the lake. She got her son out of the lake as the water kind of got a little choppy. Unfortunately, she couldn't get herself back up as well. So it's an unfortunate thing. I know a lot of people say like death comes in threes, and obviously this is no exception. If you guys know of any other celebrity passings that we have missed, please let us know, because we feel that they should be acknowledged in some way or another, whether it be here or on, was it CNN or wherever the other articles from People or Hollywood Reports and stuff like that. So yeah. I like to feel that we could also do our part in some way in acknowledging the deaths of them. Out of all of them, I think Grant Imahara I'm more known with than the other 2, just because I'm a huge Mythbusters fan.
Yeah, it was weirdly the most shocking for that reason. I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, 49 years old. You mean like he's young, Right. It's like, and granted, they're all pretty young, obviously. Kelly Preston only being 57 years old. Naya Rivera, I think, was 20 or like late 20s, early 30s or something like that.
I think she was 33.
Yeah. But I've never been a big Glee fan. I never watched Glee. I think I
hated
half
Glee.
of one episode. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I had friends and family in show choir in high school, and I just wasn't into it.
Gotcha.
I don't know why I don't know why I would spend time watching the show. Sorry, I know we're not talking about Glee right now, but
no, and that's the thing is like I'm a fan of musicals. It's just for some reason Glee I just never like really latched onto. It was almost like a High School Musical, and I just. So, it's unfortunate, the passing of those 3 people, and, at the same time, it's like, I wish I knew more about their careers, like post Mythbusters or outside of Glee and stuff. I really didn't, because it seemed like the projects they worked on, it just wasn't my thing. And, but I'm sure that, they have fans all over the world that appreciate the work that they did, and, just give them mention and everything, and pay respects to their passing. So,
yep,
yeah.
Peace to their families, comfort, etc.
True that.
Sorry for their loss. Sorry for the loss for all of you who were fans of them. I mean, that's celebrities touch our lives in weird ways. and I know how important they can be. So, you know, sorry if you're grieving them. It sucks. It's a sucky loss.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. But let's turn this over to a brighter, more exciting moment. We got Brian that's ready to come on, ready to talk with us about Staunch Ambition, the new projects he has going on. Because I mean, and that's one of the things I love doing, especially with CJ Standel and Jordan Trokey, you know, to catch up with these guys, because it has been a while since we had Brian on the show, and I'm excited to kind of catch up with him, what he's been up to, and also talk about Inferno City Firehouse. So, Joey, if you're ready, I am ready on my end, and I would love to get our plug rolling so we could bring Brian on after.
I am ready.
Cool. Want to yell plugs?
Plugs!
This episode of This Freakin' Show is brought to you by BallWash.com. Now, it's no secret that the man's most prized possession also happens to be the most sensitive part of his body. Balls are prone to sweat, odor-causing bacteria, and irritation. Upgrade your balls game with quality products formulated to keep your skin healthy and fresh. Guys, that is where BallWash.com comes in. Go to BallWash.com right now, check out the variety of products they have, as well as kits and subscriptions they have available for you. And when you hit that checkout button and you go to pay for that order, make sure you use the promo code FREAKNET, that's FREAKNET, at checkout. It will save you 15% on your entire order. That's right, ballwash.com. When it comes to your sack, they got your back. All right, guys. We've had Brian Lau on. This is actually his third time being here, but this is the first time since February of 2018. So we do have a lot to discuss on what's been going on the last 2.5 years. So, Brian, thank you so much for making time for being back on here, and I apologize for my time zone.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad to be on and talking to people who live in the center of the earth.
Right. Well. It's like I told you, man. You know, central United States, man. It's corn growers and stargazers, man. It's peaceful out here. It's just, yeah, we are a little hour behind. So I do apologize for that, for the mix up on all that. But I'm happy to be back on here with you. I'm so glad to be catching up with you. But just to remind some of our fans, maybe some newer fans that we've had since you last been on, kind of just remind everyone who you are and you know, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I believe it's been that long, man. So, one of the taglines for the book is called "Welcome to the New Enlightenment," and the concept is: what if in our future we entered the supernatural through advanced technology? So, kind of the general theme, and of course, driven by the characters in that context. And I put a preview issue and issues 1, 2, and 3 out for Staunch Ambition, and then in between issues 3 and 4, I had a fan come to my table at a signing at a comic shop, a local comic shop, and he's a huge geek, and I mean huge. This guy's big. He is a firefighter. Yeah, he's a big guy, man. Really the nicest guy too. One of the nicest guys you can meet, and he can crush you like nothing. So but anyways, he comes to my table and he's like, you know, I'm a big, fan. And he saw a poster I did for the Detroit Fire Department years ago when I used to live in Detroit, and I rented from a firefighter, and I was doing comics, like just some coloring, and he was frustrated that there were not any or barely any firefighter comic books, and he expressed that. He's like, you should do a firefighter comic about firefighters. And I'm like, yeah, right, in my head, but it stuck with me, like really intrigued me, because I thought about my whole life growing up, and I'm like, I don't remember. There's freaking noir cop comics, and there's obviously every kind of a comic nowadays, any genre, and I'm still not thinking of all kinds of like any comics or graphic novels that focus on firefighters. So it so intrigued me that I just stopped Staunch Ambition, and I felt called to do this. It's a graphic novel, a one shot. I think it's 76 pages. Mm-hmm. And I took real stories from real Detroit firefighters and I put them together into a narrative, just kind of a little bit of fiction or, obviously fiction, but to connect all these true concepts.
Right.
So it's inspired by true stories from my grandfather, firefighters I knew, and then I did ride-alongs with the Detroit Fire Department. So this book's called Inferno City Firehouse. And, now I'm currently working on the next, and it's going to be, issue 4, where I'll be able to put all my sci-fi Staunch Ambition books together into a trade. And so this is going to be like a double-sized issue now, this next one.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's almost all penciled. I've got like just the last few pages to write. And I think I sent you guys through Skype a couple sneak peeks at some of the like real kick-ass pages. I mean, these pages are like, they're like the pages I envisioned for a long time. So like they're crucial pages and they turned out amazing. So I couldn't be happier with what we're doing on this next issue. So
that's fantastic.
I got you. Yeah. And, I was kind of, I went onto the website and, there's kind of like a little teaser video kind of like talking about the Inferno City Firehouse. And I was looking at the pictures and everything in the video, and they're all kind of like a black and white shading. Now, is that how the pictures actually look in the book? Or is there any color at all?
Yeah, that was something that, this is a gritty book. You know, it's dealing with some serious, shit. So,
yeah.
Two things I thought about doing was, color costs, at least double the price and takes double the time and all that. So, but it's so gritty, and Erwin or Rosa, who does the pencils on both my books, his pencils are so amazing and gritty and real life. They're not superhero, traditional comic book superhero style.
No,
and I just thought, yeah, I mean, you guys know, right? You got your typical kind of like traditional comics, but this is like gritty, like, he does good like Lord of the Rings looking type stuff, or, so his style, I just thought, well, let's just keep it gritty and black and white. And then I did think, well, what if we made the fire just color and all that? And I was like, nah, just do it black and white. So yeah, the pencils, I think I mean, color would be cool, but I don't think it needs it one bit. So.
No, I love the black and white. I think it gives like a more intense feel to the story, especially with them being based on real events and everything. Because I mean, I remember looking through Staunch Ambition and seeing the color and everything, how everything would pop and everything. This gives it a completely different look to your creations and everything. From it doesn't need color. I know you got color on the front of the front cover, which it does look awesome. But I think the black and white shading that you see throughout the story, it just gives a whole different perspective on how you want to look at a comic and how you want to read it. I don't know how many stories are out there, like comics are out there that are based on true events, but I think that's an amazing concept. How was it sitting down with firefighters and like hearing them basically them reliving the stories and stuff that they went through?
It wasn't. It was a little intimidating at first because, I, kind of was like I got the idea to do some ride-alongs as I was researching. I didn't even really realize the concept of doing ride-alongs. And then I realized that. So it was intimidating to come into their world, it'd be like, going to the front lines with the military or not even in the front lines or in the battle necessarily, but just hanging with them. And it's like, you're not part of the group in that sense, but they were very welcoming and willing to share and, accepted me in. And all the time I really wanted to make sure that this book was authentic and it was true visually and with the kinds of maybe even just the terminology and the structure of how they would approach a fire. So how I conveyed all this stuff, I thought, I don't want to just, kind of make stuff up where I'm ignorant. So I really tried to learn the lingo, tried to learn and asked a lot of questions about when you approach a fire, what are the things you do, and then try to show those in the book accurately. And I think we nailed it. So, but, to be there with them and I stayed the night and ate dinner with them, and which is like a sacred ritual every night, and, you know, played ping pong and then went on, you know, runs was, you know, it's a whole nother world to me. So, and I felt, you know, I felt honored to be a part of that, and, even more respect for what the, you know, a lot of the times they're not called to fires, or depending on where you are a firefighter, you know, there's downtime. But man, when you have to go out for a car accident or a medical run or a fire, you know, you gotta bring it.
Yeah. How is your writing process, for writing something with realism, like backstory, like true events, as compared to, kind of like a sci-fi staunch ambition story? Like, is your process the exact same, or do you have to get into a different mindset between the two?
Wow, that's funny, because the way it's funny, how you're explaining it made me think even more what a 180 I did. You know, it's like I'm doing full color sci-fi fiction.
Yeah.
And, it's like, then I'm going into this like gritty, earthy, true life stories, you know, completely opposites. As far as writing though, I mean, it's the research and all that is completely different, but the passion, the inspiration that comes with having to tell a story, that's exactly the same. I mean, I felt called, and I felt actually obligated to do it. I felt like it was an injustice in the comics industry that there's not more or barely any comics or graphic novels. You know, you see some stuff, but it's not much. And, so.
I mean, it's barely even in TV, really. You get what, like, Rescue Me. And then.
Well, I've noticed it more recently with, you have this comedy that they did with, it was called Dakota or something. And then you got 911, which has stuff. But, yeah, if you look at all of TV, you know, compared to cop shows or stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Not much. And then movies, there's a few movies here and there. So it's not like they don't do anything. And usually they're like the side story, or they're like a, you know, Spider-Man and the firemen save a tree from a cat or something. And it's just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of part of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. And like I said, you know, and you actually said perfectly, it's the 180 from what was before. You know, like you have people who, you know, they'll listen to, or they'll read Staunch Ambition, and, you know, it's like more like using your imagination to create like these possibilities and all this stuff, where you take Inferno City Firehouse, man, like you could walk outside your house and see a situation like this, or wake up in the middle of the night and your house is on fire, and all of a sudden these firefighters, and you actually, there's actually the perfect tagline on your website here. It says, as the city burns, firefighters battle to save complete strangers, even if they died trying. True stories of value and regret based on real Detroit firefighters fused together into a breathtaking narrative. I mean, that kind of like, it tells you perfectly, like, exactly the mindset of a firefighter. Is like, you don't know the people you're going to, you just get a call and you're going. And now you have these victims and everything, like, you know, their house is being burned, but all of a sudden complete strangers that they may not even know is trying to do what they can to save your memories, save your house, your livelihood, and everything.
Yeah.
And for you to, you know, dedicate time and, you know, work to put that into a story, I think it's completely different. And it's an amazing thing that I think other people should look into doing, is giving credit to real life heroes, other than, you know, the superheroes and stuff you see on, like, you know, MCU and DC and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's, I'm glad you like that tagline. I think, it's not easy to come up with something like that, but I do think it does work. And, I mean, there's a similar thing as far as, like I said, between the two stories, writing them, as far as, inspiration, like I said, but, at the core of even the sci-fi, it's human stories. And so in my sci-fi, I do deal with, you know, one of the characters and her relationship with her parents, and obviously there's this commonality even in fiction, and you can make stuff up, but it's gotta be grounded in real shit. So real emotions, real life and death circumstances. And so I try to tap into that in both of them. But I tell you what, I give you, the story that is inspired from something my grandfather went through. My grandfather was a Detroit firefighter for 26 years. And, my aunt told me this story because my grandfather died when I was like around 14 years old. And, so, you know, I didn't have like a extremely close relationship with him, and wasn't talking firefighter stuff with him. But, my aunt his daughter told me that she only seen he was old school, and she only seen her dad cry a couple times. And one of them was when my grandmother, his wife, was sick, and she lived to be like 97, so it was like, you know, she had some kind of a ailment, and he was broken up about it. But she told me the story that I put in the book about him coming across a child, and that I couldn't tell that story, and I couldn't write it without my eyes watering. You know, I'm a pretty emotional artist, but at the same time, I just couldn't tell it without getting choked up. You know, eventually I got to the point where it didn't. But then when I was sending these pages, especially that sequence, to the artist, to Irwin, he was like, "Man, this is tough to draw," you know. So I think the story, you know, yeah, it's true. You know, I fabricate a little bit of it to fit it in a context and to make it visual, but the core of it actually happened. And it's gut wrenching, but it's like, I think it's needed to be known what these firefighters can go through. And another aspect of this true stories is that this book, I wanted to be helpful in two ways: dealing with people understanding what firefighters go through and the struggle with PTSD, and donating part of the proceeds to people struggling with suicide or PTSD. So the book, the book is not only wanting to make aware of this kind of a struggle, but to also have money go towards places that help people with those conditions.
That's fantastic.
That is awesome. Now, have you had an opportunity to talk to any of the firefighters that gave you any of the stories used after they had an opportunity to read it by chance?
Oh yeah, I talked to them. Yeah.
How they feel about their stories being written down and having visuals and stuff to it?
Oh, my grandfather loved it. I'm just kidding. You're like, did you just say?
Yeah. Right. I wasn't even gonna touch that, man. I was like,
you're like, I don't know where we just went here. Yeah, the firefighters were like honored and impressed. And in fact, another thing that was interesting was I got to unbox the first box of printed books on video, like actual, you know, a documentary, because Metro Times, a local newspaper here, did a article on the book, and a director doing a documentary on firefighters and PTSD saw the article and called me up and wanted to feature me, the book, and the Detroit Fire Department in his documentary. And they flew here and filmed me, the book, and the firefighters, and did ride-alongs with them as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then one of the scenes we did was me going to the station and unboxing it and telling them, and I had to, I was put like on the spot, like I had to, he's like, just talk about what it means to you and all that. So it was received really well. I mean, so, yeah, and I don't know if they're nice or being nice or what, but I didn't get any criticisms of the book. I did get criticisms with the Metro Times article though, because he had misworded something and I had didn't realize it. So I stayed up until 4 a.m. trying to finish the book during the time they did the article, and then some firefighter brought it to my attention, and some of them were pissed about, "Hey, what are you saying?" Like I was making it like they were all struggling with PTSD there, and I was like, "No, man, it was just a miswording in the article, man. I talked to the guy like you guys today for a half hour, and then he put an article together, and then I had it retracted and changed, and I says, look, I get it retract and change. I was like, geez, okay, man." So
there's only so much you can cover in half an hour.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm trying to do something good here for the firefighters and fire department and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Now I know Inferno City Firehouse is available on your website, infernalcityfirehouse.weebly.com. But I also found that it is available on Amazon, and I was kind of curious about some of these posters that you could get as a bundle along with the book. You do have 2 of them that show kind of depictions of fire dragons and stuff like that. Was that something that you always wanted to do as far as like when you create like poster content to kind of put something mystical in there like a dragon, or you just felt like I'm used to this side of it, I just need to add that to this project as well?
Well, the story's so, ends on, it's got hope in it and all that, but it's so gritty and it's, it's a tough story, obviously, dealing with some of the things, that firefighters deal with. So I kind of wanted, one of the things was I wanted to end the book, obviously on a hopeful note, but at the same time with just like a badass, like, splash page, like a poster splash page.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of, what would be cool to just do something. And, the original poster I did for the Detroit Fire Department that I was talking about, that the fireman saw that, I was selling, was we have our famous building in Detroit, downtown Detroit is the Renaissance Center, or the GM building now.
Right.
And it's like a circular building, and the firefighter I was renting from wanted to do a comic book looking with a dragon wrapped around it and breathing fire like he's claiming the building, and then a firefighter's taking on this dragon one-on-one. So I did that poster years ago, and I was like, what if we did like an updated version of that? So Irwin drew this like serious looking dragon, not like a more comic booky looking one.
Yeah.
And the fire, instead of the GM building, it's the Joe Louis Fist. Downtown Detroit, we have the Joe Louis Fist, which I think some people aren't going to understand what this giant fist is if they're not local. So, but the thing is, it's just kind of a crucial area to show it's in Detroit, and there's like 4 of them taking on this, huge dragon. And then I wound up doing a coloring for that. So I was like, this has to be a poster. It turned out so amazing, but I just wanted to end it on like a really badass note. And then of course the cover by Clayton Crane of the main cover, makes a great poster. It's Clayton Crane. He works for Marvel. DC's probably my favorite artist working in the industry. And then Neil Anderson is a local artist who did an alt variant cover. And those just have to be posters because, I try to sell posters at the Comic-Con shows as well and online.
Oh, for
and
sure.
they're just gorgeous, pieces of work. So.
Gotcha. So, besides Staunch Ambition, besides Inferno City, is there any other projects that you're kind of thinking about or kind of in the works currently, or?
Yes, I'm working on another totally 180 off. It's similar to where it deals with true events, and it's gritty. But I'm working on the outline and the script with John McNichol, who was one of the first writers I was co-writing Staunch Ambition with. And it's just it's so much work to write. So it's like, I thought, I need to collaborate because I'm so busy. So it's like him and I are going together, and I get this vision for a story similar gritty I'm going to do the pencils like Infernal City Firehouse, in black and white. And it's going to be about John the Baptist, who, if anybody knows anything about John the Baptist's story, it's like Shakespearean drama and a mix of like Greek mythology and just gritty and I want to do it, similar like gritty like the Passion of the Christ or something, but I want to do it where it's not like some stupid word for word thing, or
gotcha.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. No, I want to do it like a story, like I did Infernal City Firehouse. I want to take all these what we do know, but I want to do it into a narrative that is compelling and draws you in. Childhood, John and Jesus playing as children. Real earthy, realistic, historic, but yet with all the drama that, if anybody knows, like I said, about his life, it's going to be in there.
Sweet.
Something different.
You're going to have to come on and tell us about it when you kickstart it or whatever.
Yeah, we're getting the outline. It's got one of these twists. I got this great idea for a twist in it. So, I think it's going to be like one of these ones where you read it and you're going to like, no, when you get to the end of it. See that coming. Which is kind of interesting to do with something that's a true story, so.
Right.
Awesome. Well, so you can purchase Inferno City Firehouse, at, infernocityfirehouse.weebly.com, weebly.com or Amazon. Staunch Ambition.com store. You can purchase it there. Is there any other places other than here or Amazon that they could, find, your books, or is there, any other social media that you would like to, kind of plug at the moment to let them know where they can find your information?
Yeah, I think just all the basic social medias. I got social medias for Inferno City Firehouse and Staunch Ambition right now. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm a little more involved on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. And the websites have links to those. There's also the Kickstarter pages, even though the Kickstarters for issues 1, 2, and 3 and for Inferno City Firehouse are no longer active. There's a lot of information and videos on there, and there's links from there to the actual website. So yeah, I got original music written for my books, so you can go to the websites and you can see videos. I put a video for each, obviously, and I use a different song in each video. I think the Inferno City Firehouse video is one of the better ones. I mean, they're all good, I think. But, or the one where I'm talking to myself on how to make a video, I thought that was good, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, I even remember like when we first had you on, which I think was, in like season 2, a lot of your Staunch Ambition, videos that I watched and everything, it gave me legit goosebumps, just because it's the music that's in it, but at the same time, like you're seeing like the graphics that are being created in the story. And Inferno City did the exact same thing. Like when I'm watching these and everything, and it triggers in your mind, like, these are real.
I'm sorry, it's choking me up.
I know, right? Trust me, I'm touched myself. I do this all the time. But it's just like when you sit there and you watch like these videos you're creating, whether it be Staunch Ambition or whether it be Inferno City, there's so much passion put into these videos, and you could feel it as you're watching it. Especially with Inferno City, because, they're real events and you're watching these. Because, I mean, like, you get a lot of times where people go on, like, YouTube and stuff like that, and they watch, like, those heart-touching moments of soldiers coming home or, people getting adopted and stuff like that. But, I mean, there's also videos out there of firefighters doing work. Like, I've actually seen them where it's like firefighters are running into, like blazing buildings. And, like, you sit there like, okay, yeah, it's a video. But you never clicks in your head, like, that's a real fucking person that, could not, it's a possibility that they may not leave that burning building, that something could happen where they may not exit. And I think a lot of people kind of miss the concept of that. And I think you bring it into these stories, and it gives that people like a shot of reality, saying, hey, this is a person that chose this profession, that chose to do this, and is sacrificing their life to protect you and to save you from what's going on. And I think that's an incredible thing you did. And I think this book is absolutely amazing. And I look forward to ordering it and having it and owning it myself.
The two of the characters in the book, one of the main characters, and one of the other characters, the guys from the Firehouse, I did a lot of research. They actually, were, buried under, fire and building collapse on them. And they had a lot of recovery and this was after my books, so I didn't put that in the books, and it's very raw and difficult. So, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. But, that's some real shit. I mean, that I wouldn't wish, that on anyone. And obviously when I'm writing it, I'm going to write about stuff like that, but that really happened after I wrote the book, and it's just like, man, it's humbling, because it's like, I was worried about doing this, and it's like, I don't want to glorify the tragedy, but at the same time, I want to represent it.
Yeah. So, you want people to acknowledge that this is a real thing. And I think you did that with your book, and, especially everything that's going on nowadays, like where people are so self-centered in their lives, you really need to focus and give credit to the people that are doing things that they don't need to do. Like, if we didn't have firefighters in your house caught on fire, like, what are you going to do? You can't stand out there with a fire hose. It's just, you physically can't do that on your own. So these people, even in my small town here, like, we got a couple people that are on payroll. A lot of them are volunteers, volunteer firefighters. Joey, Joey and I were stepbrothers. Joey's dad, my stepfather, he was a volunteer firefighter, down in,
years.
Yeah, down in Indiana. He used to share stories a lot of time about going to accidents and having to pull people out and all this other stuff. And, you know, like, we haven't talked about it in years, like years. I think I was still in high school when he first told me these stories. And back then I was an ignorant child that, you know, it's like, all right, well, that's cool. But like, you know, when you sit there and actually think, and your book actually triggered this for me when we started talking, I was like, holy shit, you know, like, Carl did this shit. And I never acknowledged the fact that he didn't have to do it.
Yeah, we were there actually when one of my classmates died. It was his weekend, and we went out to a scene. Her sister had accidentally run over her with a golf cart.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the scenes in the book was from my childhood, something I witnessed, you know, and obviously it was a rude awakening, and it was a huge thing that I saw. But yeah, I mean, and they're dealing with this stuff day in and day out. You know, it's like, you know, that's not easy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know what, but it's awesome that you're able to do something like this for them. I think it's really cool. And, I can't wait to have you come back on when you get your next project up and running. Please let me know so we can get you back on here and we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's the passion that I did not anticipate with the Firefighter book, that it just, you know, some certain people, like, you know, they look at Staunch Ambition and like, there's no emotional connection. I mean, what is Staunch Ambition? Star Wars, yeah, you can have an emotional connection, or Superman, because it's something that you can relate to in your personal life. Well, I didn't anticipate this, but Firefighter, the concept and the genre is something that people, you know, often connect to emotionally. And I was like, wow, that's exactly what you're looking for when you are trying to get your book out there. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, no, you guys did a great job. Like I said, I can't wait to own it. I can't wait to read through the entire thing. Some of the bits and pieces I did see, the writing's amazing. The graphics are phenomenal. I love the black and white shading. I think it gives you a different feel to the story that you need to have, as you know, as you're diving into these real stories about real firefighters. So awesome work. Awesome job. I urge everyone who's listening to go and pick up a copy of this. All the links to everywhere you can buy it will be in the show notes. It'll be released on our Facebook page when the show's released. And just great job, Brian. It's an absolute incredible book, and I look forward to seeing all your future work too.
Thank you, guys, man. It was awesome to talk to you.
Yeah. Joe, you got anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay, awesome. We will plug a sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm the Freak Joe. If you enjoy my stylings in the month of October, then you'll probably enjoy Audible.com, the one-stop shop for all things audiobooks. If you want to try it out, you can go to audibletrial.com/freaknet and get your first month for free and your free credit for your first audiobook. Head on over to audibletrial.com/freaknet today.
Guys, I don't want you to think that, like, you know, I was trying to blow smoke up Brian's ass as we were talking to him. When I said make sure you purchase this, I really mean that 100%. It's an incredible book, and it's an incredible concept that I didn't really think anyone's ever, I don't know if it's ever been thought of. I'm sure it has, but it's never been, like, brought to my attention about creating a comic about real events. Like, you get, you know, stories that, you know, are based on true events, but never really a comic.
Yeah, I agree. And definitely when it does happen, I can't think of a single time it's ever been about firefighters.
No. You always get a lot of stories and everything about cops, doctors, and stuff like that.
Yeah, military.
Yeah, it kind of seems like firefighters, no pun intended, kind of sit on the back burner. You know, so,
yeah.
But I think it's cool how he kind of brings this to light. It's really cool how he did it on Detroit, which, you know, he has a connection with, and, awesome book. Again.
For sure. Great price too, if you head over to the website there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even on, like, I know, I got to double check the sales and stuff on the website, but I know on Amazon you can buy the book along with, various, posters. There's different kind of posters and everything. Like I said, there's some basic ones of just, like, you know, firefighting, but then you got some of those mythical ones with some dragons and stuff, which the dragon fire one looks really awesome. You'll have to check that out, Joe.
It really does. Cool. It's badass.
Yeah. So
I came very close to purchasing it during the interview.
Right? Well, and that's what I love about doing this, because we're meeting all these amazing creators who are crushing it in everything. Brian and CJ, Jordan, and I'm hoping we can get Bobby back on, Bob Sally, from I want to say Salvagers. I think
Yes.
Salvagers. I keep wanting to say Scavengers, but it's not that. I mean, they have different aspects of their stories and their comics, and they're all incredible. I don't think we met a comic that we didn't enjoy, wholeheartely. It's not just sugarcoating shit. It's just honest. It's like these guys are creating, and it's awesome how Brian kind of mentioned, that noir scene kind of stuff. I mean, that's how CJ develops his Rebirth of a Gangster concept. Is that noir?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and comparing the differences in the style. When you consider it's all black and white with shading for the most part, between CJ and Brian Lau's stuff, it's completely different, and it's so cool how different it is, even though there's no color.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if this would be insulting to CJ in any way, but his black and white looks more cartoonish.
Yeah, it's much more traditional comic book.
More comic, yeah. Where when you look at Brian's animation or sketches or whatever, however you would call black and white shading picture, it's kind of like one of those when you see how would I describe it? I don't know how to describe it now, but there's more intensity to it. I think I mentioned in the show, there's more intensity in the drawing of his black and white than it is in any other comic I've seen. And I think it needs that to tell these stories, because you don't want to hear about these stories about these firefighters rushing into these infernos, ultimately, trying to survive with colorful or animated looking, caricature kind of things, it's just incredible. The people he worked with is absolutely awesome. So yeah, Brian, again, awesome work on your novel. I can't wait to own it. I know I'm going to own it. My plan is to own all of these guys' books and everything. CJ and Jordan, Brian, Bobby. I want to own their books, and I'm going to make that happen. Another fun fact. Now that we were talking about how awesome this artwork is, I was messaged by Sarge from the Doug Gray Area podcast. Oh. And he actually told me, because he listened to our episode last week with Jordan, and the passion and everything he puts into his stories, and I guess that kind of lit a fire under Sarge's ass to kind of push forward with his book that he was working on. Ooh. So I'm super excited for that. I hope he does go through it, because I remember him talking with me about it not too long ago. I want to say it's not a manga, but it's an animation book.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the title of it, but I know it involves ninjas and trailer parks. I think it's I think it's called Samurai Trailer Park or something like that. Awesome. But if I'm wrong, please, Sarge, refresh my memory on what it's called. But I mean, he told me the concept. It seemed interesting. It seemed like kind of I don't know if it'd be like one of those humorous things like Beverly Hills Ninja that with Chris Farley. Gotcha. I hope he does do it. I know he said his biggest speed bump has been artwork and finding the right artist. I mean, every writer that we've talked to on here over the last month or 3 weeks, they talk about how great their artist is. So maybe, Sarge could reach out to them and talk to their artists and, get that going. I know he's been busy, through, working with Doug Gray Area, working on his salsas and stuff like that. So, it's just finding time to do it. So hopefully he does. Same thing with us, with Freaky Tales and everything. We had a brief discussion about Freaky Tales. Knowing that we definitely are not going to be able to publish Freaky Tales this year. It's just not going to happen. No fault of our own. 2020 definitely got away from us with everything going on, and it's just really hard to really get those stories out. I think you could agree with me, though, that we'll definitely have enough stories for this Freaky show.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. And the Freaky Tales will just, it's just one of the things that it doesn't have to happen immediately, but I do want to make sure that we get it done right. It's the last thing I want to do is to pump out 15 crappy stories and throw it in a book. I'd rather them, be right. So that's definitely going to happen. And you know, just like Sarge, these last 3 weeks of listening to these writers, it motivated me. It motivated me to move forward with this stuff, you know, and I know I got the ideas for the stories in my head. It's just trying to write out the story for it. You know, like I know how I want it to end. I know what I want it about. It's just getting that beginning leading up to it. So, but I'm confident in us, Joe. I know you and I could do this because this freaking show is a creation of our minds, and you know we want to do the best for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are you freaking thinking about, Joe?
I am freaking thinking about. So I have never enjoyed reading ebooks. I've tried reading them. I've tried doing it for school. I just, for whatever reason, cannot seem to ever get them to stick. I'm really bad at remembering things that I read, when it's an ebook for whatever reason.
Yes.
But, they're so much cheaper than real books.
Yeah.
And so I decided to look around and see if I could find a cheap Kindle just to try out. And, I found someone who was selling one for $10. So I bought a Kindle this week to try it out and see if I can tolerate it on a device that's specifically made for this, as opposed to like, you know, a smartphone or whatever. And so far I enjoy it, but I can't say that anything has been very sticky.
Gotcha.
You know, I just, it's just not how my brain works. I think I really rely on the,
hardcover paper.
Yeah, well, the spatial parts of my brain to remember where things are in a book.
Gotcha.
You know, and so without having the physical copy, it's really hard to remember where something was and what it was I read.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm going to try. I'm going to push through. I'm going to try and read at least a couple of books this month on it. It is nice to read without distraction, and it is much nicer on my eyes than any of my other devices.
Gotcha.
So,
do you ever
yeah.
do you ever hear about that electronic book app where you could download any number of novels and you could read it, and as you follow with the finger, it will highlight the lines as you go. So when you decide to stop, you can just take your finger off. You can close it, and then when you're ready to read, you can open it back up, go back to the page, and it'll show you exactly where you left off.
Oh, nice. No, I've never heard of that.
It doesn't exist, but it could. Right? Come
Right?
on now. I'm a genius. I hate fucking reading, but there's an idea.
That's a good idea.
I know. Make a note, Joe. Make a note, Joe. So when somebody creates this in a year from now, just like they stole my fucking gaming app idea, sons of bitches.
Right. I'm writing it right now. Highlighting ebook.
Right. Realistically, I think logically it'd be a lot easier if it highlights as you say the word, but who really sits there and reads aloud constantly?
Right.
You know,
I only do it when I can't. If I come up to an argument that doesn't make sense to me, I'll read it out loud until I understand it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Hopefully you work out with your hopefully it works out with your Kindle.
Yeah, I hope so too. I've got so many ebooks that I bought, you know, during seminary because they were on sale.
Yeah.
So I really want to get through them, and I don't want to have to buy the, you know, there are some books. One of the books I bought I got it on sale for like $5 on Kindle. Or through, you know, whatever, the Amazon, whatever. If I actually bought the physical copy, it'd be like $30. So It's like, I feel like I could save so much money and still get the same information. And as long as I don't need to cite anything, it's fine.
Yeah. Do you think it'd be easier if colleges just did away with textbooks and made every book available electronically?
I honestly don't know. Part of me says yes, and part of me says I wouldn't have made it through seminary without physical books.
I mean, but like realistically, think about it. I mean, like to carry around 7, 8 heavy ass books in a book bag, or carry them on one fucking tablet and or laptop.
Yeah, it's much easier to carry. I can fit this thing in my pocket. It's wonderful.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, what are you freaking thinking about?
You know what? Starting this past week, JFW, is kind of going through a revampment. I sat down, I talked with Dizzle J and Daly, And we spent a lot of time, especially on our podcast, talking about results and everything of pro wrestling we watch on TV. Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, Wednesday night NXT or AEW. And it was kind of like one of those things where I started thinking, like, you know, it's really weird for us to talk about results of Monday Night Raw when we don't record the show until Saturday and it's not released until Monday. So it's kind of like we're really like not on track to kind of like, you know, it's pointless. It's honestly pointless.
You're like a week behind.
Yeah, and I can be honest with it. It's fucking pointless. So I was talking to them and I was trying to come up with an idea or a concept of what we could do with the show. And what we're going to do is, the following morning after a televised event, we're going to post the results with our own personal grading of the matches and any highlights on the Facebook page. So like, Tuesday mornings, I'm going to post the results about Monday Night Raw, you know, post the matches, who won, who lost, or who won, who lost, the grading I give the match, and then any highlights. Just very simple. And then what we're going to do for the podcast is very similar to what we do here, but in the wrestling world, where talking about current events, wrestling news, what happened that week in wrestling, and then we'll bring those topics to the podcast and we'll talk about the events that happen, our point of views and stuff like that. I think it would reach out to our fans a lot differently. That way they're not sitting there listening to me talk about Monday Night Raw results that they saw 6 days ago. It's more about, hey, if they're not really focused on like the behind the scene information about wrestling, like superstars getting arrested for drunk driving or, you know, them quitting on a promotion and no one knows what happened to them, stuff like that, I think it would kind of draw them in a lot earlier. Also, there's the possibility that the Southland Championship Wrestling company that we work with might have their first show back in August. With that happening, we're going to actually do, and I think I mentioned it on this show, I might have, or at least I talked to you about it. We're going to do like a post-show, live Podbean on the card. So the following Sunday, we're going to go on Podbean Live. We're going to bring on the wrestlers from the show before, talk to them about their matches and stuff like that, and kind of like talk about the next month. But because I do so well with what I do, I also was requested to keep around the Southland Championship Wrestling roundtables I do on a monthly basis. Those 3-hour live Podbean things that I do just to kind of promote Southland Championship Wrestling. Apparently they love them so much and we're getting more wrestlers and stuff involved in it that they asked if I could keep going with that even with the Southland Talk Show.
Nice.
So it's a lot of work for me, but I'm talking to Dally and Jay to kind of help me out with that stuff, to kind of help, you know, get going with everything. So basically, when it comes to Just Freakin' Wrestling, we're going to have a show one Sunday a month to talk about results of the show. We're going to have a roundtable one Saturday a month to talk about what's going on with you know, Southland in general. And then we're doing our weekly JFW shows where we're talking about events and everything, as well as giving results every single week. So JFW is going to get really busy, but right now we're focused on doing the content thing. We're talking about doing some videos for YouTube as far as going toy hunting at toy shops for wrestling merchandise and memorabilia, stuff like that, as well as doing some fun little wrestling games that I would also like to maybe bring to this freaking show sometime down the line and do some funny content that we can release on Freakin' Studios as well. So a lot of different things popping up. Luckily, we got our little intern, Ashley, your stepsister,
Nice.
Ashley,
My
sister,
stepsister.
Ashley, intern.
It'd be funny if she was your stepsister.
Right? It's like, it's so weird.
It'd be so confusing.
Looking at, she's willing to help me right now that she's back and, you know, she's done with schooling, but she, you know, she's job hunting just like I am. So for the time being, she's going to be helping me, kind of get some stuff here for Freakin' Studios together, as well as she's going to help me do some woodworking projects and stuff as well. I ripped up that old deck that was in the front of my house.
Nice.
So I'm gonna take those old boards. I'm gonna restamp them out, restain them. She's got a machine that makes decals and labels and stuff, or whatever the hell they're called. And we're gonna start making some signs and stuff to sell off as like little projects and stuff. So, yeah. So I'm glad she's back. It's gonna give us an opportunity to hang out and get together, and just, you know, JFW's growing. This freaking show's growing. We're doing a lot here on our end, so I'm excited for it. And it's just moving forward at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Joe.
Good action. Yeah.
Every week our listeners could catch Cartoon Joe here on this freaking show. But if an hour of Cartoon Joe just isn't enough every single week for our listeners, where can they go?
If you need more Cartoon Joe, you can find me over at the Geekcast Live podcast at violentpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Google Play, and Twitter by searching Geekcast Live.
Perfect. Guys, again, thank you to Brian for being on the show. Make sure you check out his books at staunchambition.com or Inferno City, Inferno City Firehouse.com. Again, huge shout out to Audible and Ballwash for being sponsors of the show. Make sure you check out our merchandise at tpublic.com, TEPUBLAC.com. We can pick up all of our designs that are available on a plethora of merchandise. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter just by searching This Freaking Show. And our episodes are released every single week on iTunes, Google Podcast, Spotify, and Podbean just by searching This Freaking Show. That's all I got, guys. As always, I am Travesty.
I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.